So Siddharth, moving from general product management, the holistic product management, let's move into the specifics. Let's start with pricing. So what process is followed by product managers when building a pricing model?
Wow, that's a you can start a series of podcast on pricing models, right? Because pricing models are deeply tied to business models, right?
Okay.
For example, if you look at pricing of Slack, right, it is a very interesting pricing versus traditionally what people have done in enterprise tools, right?
Correct. So, so let's get into the process of how product managers approach towards making a pricing model. For example, if there's a particular feature, how do they figure out what kind of pricing model should be made and how should it be made? In brief.
Right. In very brief, typically you have one-time or recurring pricing models to speak very briefly, and it depends on the value and usage where you price it. There's also it also deeply ties into the business model where the business is making money. So Instagram's business model dictates that they make money from advertisers. So the pricing model is auction based, right? One-time auction based rather than recurring versus somebody like Dropbox who charges customers and there's a repeat usage, they continue to host. So it becomes more around, that recurring sort of model, right? So it depends on the value you provide and the other market players, how they price stuff in their market. And typically then most companies will not drastically change from recurring to one-time model within the industry. What they will start changing on is what value proposition they give you. So in a flat pricing model, you may try to give more features in one go or a surety in one go, 30-day money back guarantee and all those things. In a recurring model, you may try to add more features, more support, faster turnaround time, right? Feature parity and those things become important. So pricing is a very, very, very complex subject and deeply tied into, the business model of the company. So we can go on discussing it for a very long time. But to give you a very brief idea, that is what we look at. We look at market, we look at what other products exist. We hyper focus on what kind of money does the consumer spend today, the user spend today to solve that same problem. Let's say I'm building an account or tax automation tool. I know you spend recurring salary of X person accountant on this, right? But at the same time, you have a collar to catch. So
Correct.
unless I give you both a collar to catch and a cheaper outcome there, right? You are not likely to switch, to that pricing model. So value of replacement, what are you replacing and how much, there's a cost is the typical starting point for pricing models for most product managers, right? Let's say video transcription, right? How much do I spend in video transcriptions, right? That is going to be the starting point to think about that sort of model. And can I really undercut it? So let's say I pay $5 per hour, $10, $20 per hour of like transcription, and suddenly you build some tool which does it using AI and you price it at $5 a month. It's an obvious yes, right?
Right.
It's an obvious yes, and you know the range you can play within. But the moment you drop it down, you increase the market size, right? The more you increase the price up, you reduce the market size that you can
Right.
target. Same thing Apple does with its various products, right? And a Mac Pro is super high price, but is very, very limited market with production houses and big
Right.
media companies, right? Versus MacBook Air, which is premium price, but because of its features and stand and everything, commands a very good market because that premium price comes for stability and being able to use it even when you're not tech savvy, right? So that is how you understand your positioning, your market dynamic, your business model, and then come to a pricing model, right? And start thinking about these are typically the starting points. And
Right.
if you are starting out completely from scratch, think about how does the customer solve the problem today? How much do they pay for it in terms of time and money both?
Are there any tools that are used by product managers at head out for building pricing models?
Not necessarily. So our pricing is done by category managers because
Okay.
the pricing of the actual product is on the ground, right? So
Okay.
it's a very different model. That's why I said that at times you may work in a company where you don't have much
Right.
to do
Right.
with pricing at all, right? So in head out, product managers don't decide pricing category managers do, right?
Okay.
What we decide on is the effort spent on internal resources spent on certain projects, right? Which again dictates the ROI of the company at a broader level, right? Versus marketing is deciding how much uptick, what is they want to bid, what is the acquisition cost, and then how much margin do we have? Can we increase the prices? What is price sensitivity? All those pieces, right? So auctioning model works there a lot, right? So you can study auction modeling if you want to understand that sort of pricing,
So
right?
like, can someone
But
study
yeah,
that from?
generally like inventory pricing. Sorry.
Like, can someone study that from auctioning model pricing, inventory pricing?
They're bunch. It's a very well understood. There are bunch of YouTube videos. There are bunch of articles, white papers as well, because it's one of the oldest models online. Google
Right.
brought it up with Google Ads, so it's very well understood model as well. You will find from research papers to actual data put out there by people. You just need to do a Google search, right, on
Okay.
auction-based pricing models, papers, white papers, YouTube videos, and you'll find tons of resources there. You can look at subscription models. You can look up. So again, like pricing is such a complicated this thing that there is no one set answer, right?
Right.
That I can give you, right? You could launch an Instagram like tool which is paid by users, and that will be priced very differently versus
Correct.
right now which is priced by ads, right? So it's a very detailed and complex discussion, and it ties deeply into like a pricing model can at times break a company, right? And
Right.
in a certain given market. So it really depends company to company, product to product, market to market, what you want to do in that market. It really
Absolutely.
depends.
Absolutely. Makes sense.